Assumed to be innocent, Rusty attacks Brian Ratzer at the start of episode 5, ensuring he departs his residence. Later on, Barbara chastises him for such a vicious attack on Brian. Eugenia queries Tommy Molto in another scene as to why she is being called as a witness. All she has to do is tell the truth, he says. She vehemently disputes his insinuation that she had an improper relationship with Rusty. Raymond has a nightmare at home where he bursts in his own head while working. Lauren warns him that this case might be too much once more. In the meantime, Rusty appears to have made the poor choice to follow Brian Ratzer. After observing Brian and his spouse drive off, he approaches their residence. Sadly, Brian manages to catch him. The other refuses to listen to Rusty's attempts to get him to just communicate. Later on, Rusty makes an attempt to persuade Raymond and Maya that Liam Reynolds may have killed Carolyn by employing a person who wasn't incarcerated. He might also have a connection to Ratzer. Rusty then discloses that Ratzer is scheduled to visit them the following day, even though the other two attorneys don't think this is a smart line for their defense. Jaden asks Barbara at home if she truly believes her father killed Carolyn. Barbara tells her that although he's furious, he didn't kill anyone. During their conversation later, she confesses her fear for Rusty. Tommy, in the meantime, recalls the moment he found out Carolyn wasn't interested in collaborating with him. As the chief deputy prosecutor, she clarifies that she would rather collaborate with Rusty since it would benefit her career, but Tommy still seems to have taken offense. Tommy is currently asked by Nico if he has looked into the Liam Reynolds angle. Tommy claims there's no way out. Barbara phones Clifton after getting a drink at her go-to bar, but she quickly admits that it was an error. He seems to be able to convince her to reconsider. Then, we watch as Barbara gets ready and leaves to meet him. After he shows her the light-based artwork, they share a kiss. In fact, Brian Ratzer visits Rusty, Raymond, and Maya. He acknowledges occasionally paying prostitutes and remarks that Bunny Davis looks familiar. He doesn't recognize Liam Reynolds in a snapshot that Maya gives him. Tommy says that prominent people in this country used to be able to get away with a lot, but that is no longer the case after being approached by the media outside the courthouse. Later on, Tommy's actions infuriate Nico. Tommy stands up for himself and tells Nico he must have faith in him. He goes on about how, for some reason, no one has ever warmed up to him, but he made the comment to curry favor with the jurors. He's the decent person, he says. Things seem a little happier at the Savage house during the bustle of the morning hours. Even after telling Barbara how gorgeous she looks, Rusty leaves after noticing that Kyle's bike is in the garbage. When he returns and inquires as to why, Kyle replies that some of its components are broken and the chain is falling out. Okay, says Rusty, but he puts the bike in his car's trunk when he leaves again. Barbara informs Dr. Rush about her affair with Clifton when she is in treatment. It was romantic, she adds, but it was just a kiss. She claims that knowing she was wanted brought her relief. She adds that she feels that Jaden is criticizing her for sticking with Rusty and showing him forgiveness. She therefore believed that Jaden would be pleased with her for going with Clifton. Raymond informs Rusty that their case ought to center around establishing his innocence in the interim. Then, in an attempt to convince everyone that Barbara still thinks Rusty is innocent, he considers having Barbara testify. While it might be really important, Rusty isn't interested. The trial starts the following day. The press follows Rusty and his family as they go to court. Tommy tries to evoke the emotions of the jury in his opening remarks by even mentioning that he knew Carolyn and misses her. He exhorts them to pursue justice on her behalf. At the conclusion of Presumed Innocent Episode 5, the camera focuses on Rusty as he silently swears at Tommy's amazing, impassioned statement. The review of the episode. Presumed Innocent Episode 5 has a sense of going in circles, and I couldn't help but concur with Raymond that Rusty is pointing the finger in the wrong direction. Tommy is experiencing a personal downward spiral, and it's intriguing to observe how his fears are surface leveling. But the story might be stronger if it included some additional context or understanding of his personality. The plot basically revolves around the notions of Tommy and Carolyn's prior altercation, Kyle being close to Carolyn's house, and Brian Ratzer being involved, although it never delves deeply into or addresses these topics. Barara's affair is the only part of the story where there is real progress. Seeing her acknowledge the joy of being wanted is intriguing, especially considering her husband's extramarital affair. Ruth Negga gives an outstanding performance, and her connection with Jaden adds another fascinating level. When the trial begins in the final moments of the show, Rusty appears to understand the strength of the prosecution's case. Overall, the show's emphasis on relationships is intriguing, but it may use more of a push to pick up speed.